It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon in our little slice of suburbia, Willow Creek Estates, when a piercing yelp shattered the calm. I was hunched over my laptop in my home office, half lost in spreadsheets, when the sound jolted me upright. I leaned toward the window, squinting through the blinds, and what I saw made my jaw drop. There was Linda Harper, our HOA president, standing bold as brass on my neighbor's lawn, clutching a garden hose like a weapon. She was dousing a golden retriever named Max, who was scrambling to dodge the icy blast, his golden fur plastered to his trembling body. Max whimpered, his eyes wide with confusion and fear, as Linda's voice cut through the air. "That's what you get for yapping all day, you mangy mutt!" she bellowed, her face twisted with a kind of glee that sent a chill down my spine. Little Joey, the 9-year-old who called Max his best buddy, stood frozen a few feet away, his face streaked with tears. "Stop it! You're hurting him!" he cried, his small fists clenched, too scared to step into the spray but desperate to save his dog. I grabbed my phone, my heart pounding, and bolted outside just as a few neighbors poked their heads out, drawn by the commotion. Mrs. Alvarez from across the street was already filming, her phone steady despite the shock on her face. Linda Harper had been running Willow Creek's HOA like her personal fiefdom for 3 years. She wasn't just strict, she was relentless. If your trash can lingered curbside an hour too long, you'd get a violation notice. If your mailbox wasn't the exact shade of charcoal gray she'd approved, she'd slap you with a fine. Last spring, she'd driven poor Mrs. Thompson to tears over her beloved ceramic frogs, calling them tacky eyesores unfit for our upscale community. Then there was Mr. Patel, who faced a DULAW 400 fine threat because some leaves blew onto his driveway during a storm. But Linda's latest fixation was Max, the Miller family's 3-year-old golden retriever. Max was a good boy, gentle, friendly, the kind of dog who'd rather lick your hand than growl. Sure, he'd bark a couple times a day, mostly at squirrels darting across the fence. Normal dog stuff. But to Linda, those barks were a personal attack. She'd been pounding on the Miller's door almost daily, ranting about noise pollution and psychological warfare. At the last HOA meeting, she'd slammed her fist on the table, her voice shrill. "That animal is a menace! It's ruining our peace and property values." Most of us rolled our eyes. The HOA rules banned excessive noise, but Max's occasional yips? Hardly excessive. We figured she'd move on to her next vendetta, like she always did. We were dead wrong. That afternoon, Joey had been tossing a tennis ball with Max in their fenced backyard. I'd heard Max bark twice, once when Joey chucked the ball, once when a squirrel skidded by. Apparently, that was enough to set Linda off. She marched across the property line, dragging her garden hose like a vigilante, and started blasting Max. The poor dog was cowering against the house now, soaked and shaking, while Linda yelled at Joey, who was sobbing so hard he could barely breathe. "I've told your parents a dozen times about this racket," she snapped. "This is what happens when people ignore the rules." A small crowd had gathered on the sidewalk. Mrs. Alvarez kept filming, her lips pressed tight. Mr. Dawson, 2 doors down, was on his phone, dialing 911. While his wife knelt beside Joey, trying to calm him. "Linda, what the hell are you doing?" I shouted, striding toward the fence. "You're trespassing, and you're scaring that kid and his dog." Linda spun around, the hose spraying a wild arc that nearly hit me. "Stay out of this, Mike," she barked. "I'm enforcing HOA standards. This dog's a public nuisance, and I'm done tolerating it." Just then, Emily Miller, Joey's mom, burst out of the house, her face pale with fury. "What are you doing to my son and my dog? Get off my property now!" she screamed, planting herself between Linda and Max, who was still huddled against the wall. Linda didn't flinch. She jabbed a finger at Emily. "You should be ashamed. This is animal neglect. A well-trained dog wouldn't bark at all. I've issued warnings, and you've ignored them." Emily's eyes widened. "Neglect? You're assaulting my dog with a hose. He barked twice, Linda. That's what dogs do." I held up my phone, still recording. Linda, the cops are coming. Drop the hose and leave before you dig yourself a deeper hole. She scoffed, but her grip on the hose faltered. The police? They'll thank me for keeping this neighborhood in line. Do you know what happens to property values when dogs run wild? Her voice dripped with smug certainty, but it wavered as two police cruisers rolled up. Officers Carter and Hayes stepped out, their eyes scanning the scene, a drenched, shivering dog, a sobbing kid, and furious mom, and Linda, still clutching the hose like a trophy. Officer Carter approached her first. Ma'am, turn off that hose and step back from the property line. Linda lowered it, but her chin jutted out defiantly. I'm Linda Harper, president of Willow Creek Estates HOA. I'm enforcing our noise rules. That dog's been barking nonstop, disturbing everyone. Mrs. Alvarez stepped forward, her voice steady. That's a lie, officer. I've got it all on video. The dog barked twice before she stormed over and started spraying him. She trespassed and terrified a child. Officer Hayes took the phone and watched the footage with Carter. Their faces hardened as the video played. I could tell they'd seen enough. Ms. Harper, Carter said, his tone firm. Based on this video and witness statements, you've trespassed, committed animal cruelty, and caused emotional distress to a minor. Those are serious charges. Linda's face went white. That's absurd. I'm the HOA president. I have the authority to enforce our rules. Hayes shook his head. HOA rules don't give you the right to trespass or harm animals. Turn around and place your hands behind your back. Linda's mouth fell open. You can't be serious. But her protests faded as Carter read her rights. Linda Harper, you're under arrest for criminal trespassing, animal cruelty, and disorderly conduct. You have the right to remain silent. The neighborhood watched, stunned, as Linda was cuffed and led to the cruiser. She kept shouting, her voice shrill through the window. This is outrageous. I was protecting our standards. You'll all regret this. Meanwhile, Emily wrapped Max in a towel, soothing Joey as he clung to his dog. Max, tough as Golden's are, gave a weak tail wag, though he was still trembling. The fallout was swift. The next evening, the HOA board held an emergency meeting. Mrs. Alvarez's video played on a loop, and the room was silent except for the sound of Linda's ranting. The vote to boot her as president was unanimous. This isn't just wrong, it's illegal, said Vice President Tom Rivera. We condemn her actions and will cooperate with the police. 3 days later, I sat in the county courthouse for Linda's arraignment. The judge wasn't buying her community standards excuse. She faced charges of trespassing, animal cruelty, and emotional distress to a minor. Bail was set at $5,000, with a restraining order barring her from nearing the Millers or Max. As she was led away, muttering about ungrateful neighbors, the prosecutor laid it out, up to a year in jail and $2,500 in fines. The look on Linda's face pure shock, like she just realized her reign was over, was something I'll never forget. Willow Creek was done with her tyranny, and the law was closing in.